I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Summer.
And you're listening to Broke and Broken.
Because we're both.
The podcast about living your best life by getting real.
Hey, broken people. Today's guest is Priya Desai. She likes to refer to herself as a fifth quarter all-star, a wannabe wizard, and a master of none. But the truth is, she's a badass bitch who does amazing community work and she gets shit done. But before we get to that, Stephanie, we have a listener question that needs some of your anti-wisdom, all right? Now let me read this for you. You got it in the email, but I'm going to read it for the listeners, and then you can chime in. So, It says, I met my last boyfriend on a dating app. We talked for a couple weeks before meeting. He was so nice and attentive, wanting to talk all the time, but sometimes it seemed like he would get upset if I couldn't be in constant contact. When it would take me a long time to check messages, which is often because I work 2 jobs, he would make comments about how I must be talking to other guys. If I objected, he insisted that he was just joking, that there really isn't a need to talk to other men, though, because he wanted to be the one, that he wanted to build a life with me because he could tell I'm special. And that's what I want too, because I'm looking for marriage. Whenever I would ask why I couldn't reach him at times, though, the answer was always that it was his time with his kids and that he doesn't take calls during his visitation, which I never questioned. Still, after a couple weeks, he still hadn't tried to meet me. That is until I went to an event with a male friend, which I told him about so he would know why I was out of contact. Suddenly, he had to meet me as soon as possible. And we did meet within a day or 2. He was the ultimate gentleman, planning the date, opening my door, talking about feelings, and wanting to build real relationships. I thought I had found the perfect man. We even had sex on the first date. My first time having sex in a couple years. Wow, a couple years? Because it is something I only do in a solidly committed relationship, which I believed I was in. But there were some odd things, like he commented that he knew I didn't have many people over because of the traffic patterns in my carpet. And after that, he wanted to see me every day. When I tell him I don't have company over on work nights because I'm tired after 2 jobs, he tried to convince me and insist that it wasn't about sex. It made me uncomfortable that he'd try to talk me out of saying no, and that he'd make comments that I probably didn't want him over because I had other guys, and that I just never make time for him. So to show him that I was really trying to make it work, I requested a day off work for that weekend because he had told me that he wanted to spend that day with me, but he couldn't because I insist on keeping my second job. When I gave him the good news that I had the day off and we could go on the date he wanted after all, he got angry and started a huge phone argument about how inconsiderate I am for not telling him that I was requesting the day off and how I'm trying to cut into his visitation time with his kids. But he had already told me that he didn't have his kids that day. So I don't know which story is the lie. I never found out because I ended things about a week after they had officially started. Did I overreact?
No, she underreacted.
I agree.
Big time. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it's really important that we talk about what safe people are and what safe relationships look like. So right from the beginning, I could see some major issues. To start off with, he was talking about permanency and building a relationship, not wanting her to talk to other men because he wanted to be the one, and that he wanted to build a life with her because she was special. So let's talk about that and why healthy people don't conduct themselves that way. What are your thoughts?
Well, anytime somebody's trying to dive in like that when they don't know you, that's a red flag.
Massive. Absolutely massive.
And I think the attempts at constant contact is huge. Whenever somebody's doing that, that's problematic. You're not in middle school anymore. You're grown people who have lives and you have jobs and you've got shit to do. So if somebody is expecting you to be able to constantly talk to them and communicate with them, that's problematic because one, either they are codependent and using them to fill a void within themselves that they need to just lay out, step out of the relationship and go take care of on their own. Or they're trying to control you because they're trying to keep tabs on where you're at, what you're doing, and how you're doing it, and all of that. And neither one of those are good things. In fact, that is actually one of the red flags that I teach a lot in my domestic violence workshops. There's a good list that Strong Hearts Native Helpline puts out about red flags in dating, and that's actually some of the first things on the list are if they're moving too fast into a relationship, or
Yes.
the showering the compliments that are too good to be true, like saying, I want to build a life with you when I haven't even met you.
Yes.
That's a problem.
How absolutely, and how she must be special. How would he know? He's never even been in her presence. I do want to say, early on in relationships, it's really easy to step into that infatuation, which I think that everybody in any relationship at any age or stage of life should be avoiding. So if you meet somebody and you're starting to drop time, if it's a friend or a potential partner, regardless, if you are spending more time with them at the cost of spending less time in other well-developed relationships, I think that that's something we all need to take note of.
That's a good point.
If you're having, strong feelings for somebody like that, you should be bringing them into activities with your circle and with your community, because they need to be getting to know this person too. And that usually and oftentimes is what happens in a relationship where domestic violence and controlling issues has gone amok, because that isolation is key to an unhealthy relationship.
Anytime a partner is trying to tell you that you shouldn't be talking to other people of the opposite sex, run. Like, block them, ghost them, never speak to them again. It is a huge red flag that you should never tolerate. I don't care if you're married to them. They don't have the right to tell you can't have another male friend.
Absolutely, but it doesn't apply exclusively to male friends. People who have these types of issues, people who are codependent and people who are abusive, also attempt to limit the person's time with their friends and family.
That's true. And him making comments about her having a second job and not liking that is problematic too. It's not like he's paying her bills. In fact, I don't ever recommend you let your partner pay your bills. You should always be able to support yourself as well. Just because financial abuse is common in domestic violence situations.
And people often don't recognize that in a vacuum, abuse is just rife to happen. A woman needs to have resources, and it doesn't apply exclusively to women in our society.
True.
But anytime one person is solely and exclusively responsible for the maintenance of the family, it makes that family more vulnerable, especially in this day and age with healthcare being such a massive issue and most people living a hand-to-mouth existence. So it's not something that I can recommend to somebody who isn't in a really secure financial situation, has money in the bank to cover any type of emergencies. I don't see anything wrong with somebody wanting to stay home with their kids, but that doesn't mean that woman should be dependent upon anyone in that circumstance. And I say woman because it's typically women who are in that type of vulnerable position, but in this day and age, it happens to men as well too. So we do need to address that. Okay. That's pretty much the first paragraph, and we obviously found a lot of problems, but I think we should go on to the second paragraph.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered that too already. So let's talk about the third. First of all, the ultimate gentleman thing. I think that's part of the problem that I have with this whole idea that we're supposed to teach our girl, the whole dads take your daughters on dates so they can learn how men are supposed to treat them. We spend so much We spend so much time conditioning women and girls to look at these superficial displays of affection and read into that. Because he opens your door does not mean he's a fucking gentleman, okay? It does not mean he's going to treat you right. In fact, in my experience, every single man who has done all of those things always turned out to be an abuser.
Now, because it's a tactic. Now, I have met men who were gentlemen who did that, but we need to talk about the flip side of that, because an abuser is looking and estimating and seeing how they can earn your affection as quickly as possible. So it's not genuine. So they are imitating.
Right.
He's imitating a gentleman.
Right. Well, and in my experience, the men I know who are actually gentlemen don't do all of those things. They're more low key. They're actually genuinely nice. So they're not going over the top for grand displays.
Yes.
They're actual real people. And so when they consistently do these things, it actually makes me question. It's like the over-the-top gushy posts on Facebook that everyone knows are performative and not real. It's that sort of thing. It's still this whole performance. It is a tactic to get you to buy in, as opposed to looking at what's really under the surface. But let's talk about the sex issue. She had not had sex in a couple years, and I know you and I, Stephanie, have different views on this. I am all about the casual sex as well as committed sex. Yeah, I'm very sex positive. All sex is good sex as long as it's consensual. I know you tend to believe more of, you want that to be within a relationship. However,
I'm a serial monogamist.
Right.
To me, it's I hold it sacred for a committed relationship. So,
well, I believe it can be sacred in all contexts.
Yes, I know you do. And,
sex is ceremony. Right. It's my favorite hashtag on native Twitter.
Right. So, I call it ceremony too, but for me, it's that, like we call me. I'm a monogamist.
Right.
Always have been and always will.
And I think both of those are very valid. But I do think the fact that she had not had sex in 2 years played into this a lot, because those hormones are raging, and your body tells you all the time, we're genetically programmed to procreate. So you've got all these messages and these brain chemicals telling you to do this, and it makes you make different decisions. Oxytocin is a lying bitch, okay? And so I think part of that did probably play into the fact that she looked past a lot of these red flags that I'm sure if she ended this only a week into, actually, so 3 weeks post meeting him on the dating app, I think she saw them all the way along, but she got sidetracked because of her brain chemicals telling her do this, and then she probably felt like she needed to try having a relationship with him because she had went and had sex with him, and she has the shame about not having sex outside of a relationship.
So I think that he actually played her. He wanted her to have that oxytocin bond.
Oh, of course.
He knew that she had not been intimate with anyone. And he set out, from planning that date and opening that door and talking about feelings and talking about that real relationship, to the extent that she thought she had found the perfect man.
Of course.
And all of it,
but don't we have
was part of the game for him.
Oh, of course. But I'm saying is, I think we have an obligation to ourselves to stop abdicating all responsibility onto, yes, he's playing her, but we have to take responsibility and realize that if you're going to choose to be celibate, that is going to play into what your brain and your body's telling you about these things too, and be conscious of that and factor that into your decision making.
Yes. And I want to come back to one more thing.
Okay.
Because it is something I don't do until solidly in a committed relationship, which I believed I was. So she thought, because of the very fraudulent ways that he was conducting himself.
Because he was telling her and they were agreeing to a relationship. Yes.
Yes, she was believing with all of that. So I just want to come back to that, because I think it's important. And you're right. You have to think about these things in a real way. It is difficult to sometimes go with our very concrete mental decisions and then throw biology into play. So absolutely, that was, I believe, an issue. I want to go on to the next paragraph, and this probably more than anything, it isn't just a red flag, but I think it is creepy as hell that he said he knew she didn't have many people over because of the traffic patterns and her carpet.
Yes.
If somebody had said that to me, I would probably really sweetly get up and walk into the kitchen and go hide a weapon somewhere on my person.
You should already have a knife in your bra, Stephanie.
Right.
Don't you know this?
I know. I know. I would have been clutching a purse with a weapon very closely to my body, because anytime somebody is talking that specifically, and I'm not sure if the man has psychopathic or sociopathic tendencies, but that's when I recognized he has a personality disorder.
Yes, most people don't notice the traffic patterns in your carpet.
Yes, absolutely. And she failed to pick up on that really huge red flag. If you discuss
Well,
something
because she
like
was
that
focused on having sex. That sounds like that's why he was in her apartment. Well, it sounds like he was only in her apartment once, because she says after that he didn't come over because she was working. So it sounds like he was there for the time they had sex, and that's when that happened. So she was obviously focused on something else and didn't pick up on the fact he was being creepy.
Well, and that comment probably was something he meant to kind of keep to himself, but obviously he found some comfort in the fact that she didn't have many people in the house.
Probably.
I mean, I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Or I almost,
I'm thinking about vacuuming, just, realizing just how concerted he is and plotting these things out is just so incredibly concerning at this point.
I feel like, and this could be my history with abusive relationships, but when I hear that he made the comment about the traffic patterns in the carpet, I hear an attempt to control her behavior. It's a subtle message of, I'm watching what you do, even when it's not what you do directly. Things as simple as your carpet. I'm watching those, and so I will know if you have people here. So it's a subtle control tactic.
Good point. Very good point. And after that, he wanted to see her every day.
Right.
And he failed to respect her boundaries here. As you know, boundaries are something that I feel extremely strongly about. They make me feel safe in relationships with other people. And what I often explain to my kids and people that I'm counseling is that you don't go from meeting someone straight into, that mile-long chasm into domestic abuse and violence. Those boundaries get scooted over a little bit every day.
Constantly.
And it's very focused, it's very driven, and it's very intentional. He tried to talk her out of saying no.
Right.
He did not respect her decisions, and she was uncomfortable. And I think that we really need to concentrate on why we ignore those danger signals, because no self-respecting person is going to try to talk someone out of what's important to them. The woman's got 2 jobs and she's tired. In a healthy relationship, he's going to say something like, we've been on the phone for a while. I need to let you get to bed. I don't want you to be tired tomorrow. To me, that's healthy. Not I need to come over and spend time with you out of selfishness. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I feel like it's just another mechanism of control and keeping up with what she's doing, and of course, like you said, pushing those boundaries, because it always starts with the simple boundaries, and I think in a lot of ways most women are conditioned in this country to be peacekeepers and to feel like we aren't entitled to our own solid boundaries, and so we are so accustomed to having those boundaries pushed by everyone and everything all the time that a lot of times we don't even see that when it's happening. So I know I didn't for years, and so that's something I've been working on in the last few years, is anytime somebody tries to talk me out of those boundaries, it's a hard line. It's never going to happen, just on principle. And I've noticed a lot of men will try to talk, even men that aren't necessarily bad people or have malicious intent, but I think it's because in this country, men are conditioned to that others are
to make demands,
and
demands of women,
and that others are to accommodate that. I mean, I know I have that issue even in the professional context. I set out.
I wouldn't say others. I would say women are conditioned, because that same dynamic does not exist in male relationships, even with coworkers. If there's a male boss, he's going to make more demands on his employees that are female than he does those who are male. It is a part of the patriarchal dominant society and culture in the United States that needs to be dealt with.
True.
If men were having babies in this country, I can promise you that there would be paid paternal leave. However, we don't have that same mentality. It's not as important. We need men to advocate for women. And I want to go down to that bottom part. He said he wanted to spend that day with me, but couldn't because I insist on a second job.
Right.
That also is a huge red flag, that language, insisting on the second job. Nowhere in here does she discuss why she has a second job, and that's good because it's not important and it's not relevant.
Right.
She wants that second job because that's how she chooses to live her life. And he has zero business whatsoever trying to talk her out of it. Maybe she's trying to pay off her student loans. Maybe she's providing for a family member. Maybe she just wants to live a certain lifestyle that she couldn't afford on one job. It's not relevant. It's her choice. It's her decision. And nowhere should he come into play on that at this time. Keep in mind, they haven't even known one another for a month. That's really disturbing.
I agree. Honestly, I don't think he should have the right to make that decision or to question or have any comment on it, even if they've been together for a year or 2 or 10. That's her decision as an adult. You don't get to control those decisions for other people.
Now, if they are together and they have a committed relationship long term, and they start talking about, we can't go on vacations, or we want to plan a family or something else, these are decisions that could be made jointly. But there's nothing joint going on here, and
I don't believe that is
really
I don't believe that it is a decision to be made jointly. I think you can discuss. Well, these are the factors.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
This is what we can do within the variables that we have to work with right here. But I think that a person's, their jobs, their independence, that is strictly theirs. And I don't think that their partner, no matter how long they've been together, has the right to say, you need to quit that job. Or to pressure them, or to even ask them to.
Yes. If they want to quit that job, and I think we should perhaps another time talk about the different ways of handling money and things along those lines, because I think it is an understandable decision when people choose to spend the first 3 years of a child's life at home, but how they're going to manage that and respect somebody's autonomy and their financial well-being. Those are the types of things that need to be discussed. I always advocate for a his and a hers and an ours bank account, regardless as to whether or not one or both are working. A woman needs to have, and a male needs to have the means to leave in a relationship. I would not give up a job or employment if I didn't have $10,000 sitting in a bank account that exclusively belonged to me.
And you still plan, and if you choose to stay home, which I did choose to stay home at certain points when I had small children, but you still need to be doing things that are going to continue to add to your resume, because you may need to enter the workforce at some point, and you do not want to be doing so with a block of time where you don't have anything, because it makes it extremely difficult to get hired after the fact.
It does. And, even, I have to point out, even the federal government recognizes this, in a military couple, for example, and that of course is a different situation, but where the woman has to continually pick up and move, she's given an interest into his retirement because they recognize the importance of continuity and how it affects a woman's career, or a male's career for that matter. It's really important as well that she has time with other adults, or that he has time with other adults. Isolation is always a bad thing, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
We're all the way down to the last paragraph. I have a few things highlighted here. When I gave him the good news that I had the day off, he got angry and started a huge phone argument about how inconsiderate I was for not telling him that I was requesting a day off. This is straight up gaslighting right here.
Yes.
And I think we need to talk about what gaslighting is and does. Would you like to comment on that?
I'll let you go ahead. We're about 25 minutes in, so we need to do this, kind of run through this pretty quickly. So go ahead.
Okay, so and he insisted that he wanted to spend that time with her because she had that second job. And then when she made that happen, he started an argument. He got angry, and he started blaming her about how she was cutting into his visitation time. But he was clearly lying, because he had already told her that he didn't have those kids, and that right there is just there isn't a clear-cut better example of what gaslighting is and does. He's trying to convince her that the reality and that the narrative is the exact opposite of what it is.
Oh yeah, they flip it on you and try to make it about you, and they're the victim here, and you're overreacting and you're being unreasonable, and this is all your fault, and and it's a tactic that's extremely common.
Yes. So, and I think we can end on that. I want to go back to, did I overreact? She absolutely did not. In fact, if anything, I wish that she had cut things off before she even met him. So in the future, if you're talking about meeting somebody and they're talking about building a life with you because you're special and making jokes about meeting other guys, you should already be noticing that these are unhealthy patterns. And I wish
just block them and move on.
Yes, exactly. I wish she had done that, but there was a lesson learned, and I think we can applaud that. Yes, hopefully.
So just block them and move on. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Plenty of fish.
Absolutely.
I know you don't get that, but plenty of fish is a dating site.
There are plenty of excellent fish out there, and I just want to find one.
Well, the play on words is that plenty of fish, or POF, is a dating site. So I know you don't do those.
I got it, but I'm teasing you about my serial monogamy.
Yes,
here, so.
Which, you know, I've done monogamy. It's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't think a man exists that can deal with me full time, because, I mean, who wants somebody as busy as me with as much as I have to do and a herd of children? Like, I'm going to question what's wrong with him. Let's be honest. All right. So let's
Preferences. All right.
So let's move on to our amazing guest. So tell us about yourself, Priya.
So I'm what they would call an ABCD, which is an American-born confused Desi.
What does that mean?
That means, like, you know, like I guess it's a spectrum for people. Like, for me, I was really into, like, the cultural stuff until I hit about, like, a certain age. And you know, there were those people who were my crowd, at least the ones locally here anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, I bonded with other people who were, you know, outside of the state. But, like, I don't know if I just didn't necessarily connect to the group of girls that I grew up with. So, like, I started, like, shedding that identity as much as I could, you know? And so, like, I really didn't start, like, realizing how bad that was, like, how steeped, internalized that was, right?
Right.
Because that's, like, really internalized shit. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I will frequently curse tonight. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There will be a not safe for work tag on this. It'll be great.
Yeah. And, you know, it made me think, like, your questions that you kind of threw at me yesterday, I was really thinking about, I'm like, culture played a big deal in that.
Yes. That's how that actually came from. That's how I do my domestic violence and sexual assault workshops now.
Yeah.
Because I want to start moving from, we talk about statistics a lot. We talk about intervention, crisis management, but we need to start shifting conversations before that. And culture is a huge thing. I'm a preacher's kid, 3 generations worth. A lot of shaming, a lot of taboo, a lot of silence about these issues.
Right.
So that's why those are the questions that I always have. Is, you know, like, first, how, what were you taught about sex and how?
Oh, definitely. So,
where are you originally from?
Okay, I was born here in Oklahoma. I have 2 sisters.
I was thinking you were from another state.
Yeah, no.
Where did I get that
My sisters were from they were born in Texas.
Maybe that's why I got confused with your sisters.
Yeah, so I was born in a small town in Buffalo, Oklahoma, which is like 30 minutes or so from the Kansas border. The time varies a little bit, but we stayed there until about 1990-ish, and then I remember moving to the city when I was 5. So, like, right in kindergarten stage, like, we moved to the city. There was just...
It's a big difference, though, right? Tiny town to
a city. No, it was a bit of a culture shock for me. It was, like, really... I was kind of shy, and, you know, when I went into class, because I didn't know, like... You know, I think what happened was we had moved mid-year, so... I started kindergarten in Buffalo, but I finished out in Oklahoma City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we had moved in between.
Right, so that's a
big shift. And you're talking about a small classroom to, like, you know, not like the classrooms are packed now, like they're over.
Right.
Yeah, they're like stuffed apparently. And it was overwhelming for me. So, like, at first I'm still very shy by nature. Like, I'll see people, I'll be like, hey, but I'm like, it takes a lot for me to come out of my shell. So, but yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, but so when we moved to the city, I would say like the stuff that I learned about sex, it was all from like friends and like TV and movies, and like it was weird because my mom told me about, she told me what to expect when I got my period. That was fine. That was a great conversation. I felt like it went great anyway. I guess I didn't freak out as much as I thought I did. Okay. But growing up, it was like I got all my information from like school and like friends, and
Did you get good information from school? Because some schools aren't good.
What I remember set of like a really, I work in like reproductive health and rights, and so like it made me that kind of got me steeped into that, right? Because I was like, I didn't have that information. I want somebody else to have that information. Like it's still the idea of talking to my parents about sex still weirds me out because I don't know. It's just that's just something weird that I need to get over, and I'm sure therapy would do wonders. And
I love therapy.
Yeah, right.
Therapy does a lot.
Yeah, it does, right? And so it was weird. Like we didn't really talk about sex.
So it was just kind of ignored.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, it's there, but we're not going to talk about it. Like.
What happened if the scenes came on TV where they hide your eyes kind of parents or anything like that?
I think at first they were like that, but then they were like, they're gonna start seeing this. Right. At some point you just gotta let it happen. It's still awkward when I see like a sex scene with my parents at a movie. I'm like, okay, this is so awkward for me. I don't know why. I gotta break through that stigma because I think that's part of the shame, right? Part of the shame and not talking about it. I'm very curious about the dominatrix.
I wouldn't mind trying to be one.
Right? I'm like, who teaches this shit?
There's got to be a place, right? So, is there somebody who like gives dom classes?
Surely there is.
There has to be, surely, right?
Like we have like the pole classes now. Like why can't we have?
Do that?
I do too. I don't know. I'm always like mystified when I watch people on the pole. I'm like, y'all are so fucking good.
I need to lose a lot of weight before I can do any of that again.
I know, right? I'm like, I don't want to throw on my back.
There's no way I can hold myself up with just my upper body strength these days.
My upper body strength is shit right now. Yeah, right? But like I had to carry this heavy box for Pride, and man, I'm feeling it. Like I felt it Sunday, today. I'm like, I don't lift weights that often.
How did Pride go? I didn't get to go this year, and I never can make a Sunday with the parade because there's always too many people.
Right.
But last year I made it on Saturday because Saturday morning it's a lot less.
That's when I tabled. I tabled on Saturday. I tabled on Saturday from about 2 to 5.
Okay.
It's super hot, but I just love seeing people at Pride. Like it makes me so happy because like this is like the one time a year they feel like free to be who they really are, and I feel like they should be able to do that every day.
Which is kind of the point of Pride, right?
Right, yeah, celebrating that. So I loved everything I saw. There were political candidates were there.
Oh, okay, good.
Talking up folks. It was great. We had a lot of people come to our table because we had a little handout about consent and then also about myths about abortion. So
oh, excellent.
Yeah, so a lot of people took those, so I was very pleased with that.
You guys give handouts about consent. Do you guys do anything else as far as public education about consent?
Pardon me. We had this really rad intern this session, and this was actually her second semester with us. Okay. And we put her in charge of, we have this copy of this book that Violet Rush had made, and it was called How to Get an Abortion in Oklahoma, and it specifically outlines like places to go, what you need to have with you, like if you need support from the Roe Fund, which is the local abortion fund here in Oklahoma, then there's information to that. There's information to different clinics in the area.
So how many clinics are there that would be accessible?
I want to let's see, Dr. Burns, Planned Parenthood, Trust Women, Ripro Services in Tulsa. I'd say we have 4. Something tells me 5, but I'm leaning towards 4.
That seems like such a small number for an entire state.
Right? And they're all like almost like diagonally spread across the state, if that makes sense. Like there's one in Tulsa, there's one in Norman, and there's 2 in Oklahoma City.
So if you're from like where I'm from, you have to travel probably to, I guess that would make probably Tulsa or Dallas the closest.
Yeah. And
So you're talking a matter of hours of travel.
When I say time matters during the, like, it absolutely does, because once people hit the gestational limit here,
which is what?
Which is 21.6 weeks, I believe.
Okay.
But like it's even less than that, like if you include, when you last had your period, or
those 2 weeks that they count
that
are nothing.
Yeah. Yes. So it's very a lot of people get pushed past that gestational limit, and they have to go either to New Mexico or to Texas, and Texas has just as many restrictions as we do. If we have probably similar restrictions, if anything.
Texas, don't they have a waiting period, like between the time you're seen and the time the procedure can be done? Does Oklahoma have that?
Yeah, we do have a waiting period. It's a 72-hour waiting period, where there's actually a group called the Center for Reproductive Rights that is filing. They're actually doing our legal counsel for that. They're challenging that.
Okay.
72-hour waiting period. So we're waiting to see what's coming down the pipe, and kind of do what we can to show support, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Wow. 72 hours is a long time when you have to travel so far.
And time
just to get to a clinic.
Yeah.
And then you have your outer limit.
Mm-hmm. Travel, childcare, cost to travel.
Anything to make it more difficult.
Yeah. But there's this really, oh my gosh, it's so freaking awesome. And there's this group in Texas, and it's like providers, it's advocates, it's legal, like it's a whole group of like different organizations doing different kinds of work in the abortion field. Mm-hmm. And they came together, and they're filing a lawsuit against the state of Texas for like decades worth of restrictions that have been passed. And this is like several organizations. I'm talking probably more than like 4 or 5, and these are like hard hitters. I'm pretty sure it's like probably more like 10 to 12 people.
So this is the shotgun approach to attacking the regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can respect that from a legal standpoint.
Right.
You throw all the arguments out there and see what happens.
Yeah, see what sticks, right?
That's right.
So we're putting up a fight, and I'm hoping Oklahoma does something similar, because I actually have a spreadsheet, and I shit you not, it's 10 pages since 2004, all of the restrictions that have passed. Have been introduced or have been passed.
Every session, some of the bills that are introduced, it's just a nightmare.
It is, and it was so funny because there was one thing that just happened to be a fluke. We had talked with someone from The Intercept. There was this girl that was kind of had contacted us and was like, yeah, can you tell me what's going on with this particular bill? And so we gave her all of our info and our intel, and then so she contacts the bill author, and this was at the time that you had to get permission from your spouse or
which is ridiculous.
Right, which is like, are you...
Sorry, your input ended with your ejaculation. At this point, I'm the one risking my life here. You get no say.
Right. No, absolutely. And men
get offended when you tell them that, incidentally.
Yeah, right? Seriously, though. But, like, she got it out of him. What did he say? I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something to the effect like, where's my phone?
Let's look this up.
Yeah. No, it was
really... need a quote.
It was really stupid.
Of course it was. He introduced the bill, didn't he?
Yeah, no, and I don't know why I'm blanking out on it right now, because I usually remember this off the top of my head. Okay, so it was Justin Humphreys.
Is he the one who called us hosts?
Yes. That's what it was. It was the hosting.
Makes me feel like it was. So you're saying it's a parasite?
Yes.
Because I can totally work with this argument.
No, that was what it was.
I remember that. I tweeted about that forever. I'm like, I'm a host, huh?
Right? Like that was and she pulled that out. Women are just hosts, and I can't believe I forgot that. That kind of tells you like it's so bad. I can't remember what someone said, because everyone says shitty things about this all the time.
When I used the word host, I did not mean to degrade women. Really, Justin, what did you mean to do?
And sadly, he's up for election, and he's probably going to win his race. So let's hope there's a challenger in that district.
He also said, ignorant and stupid won't get you very far with me. Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, he's special. He's
special.
That's one of Jesus's special little children.
Well, that's how he gets elected.
Yeah.
The family values candidates. I've decided anybody who uses the phrase family values
Have
or tells me their religion, I don't care what it is. If they tell me their religion in their campaign, I will not vote for them.
Yeah. No.
Don't capitalize off the sacred with me. It's
right.
not gonna work.
Yeah. Hell no. No, but the more family values they are, the more the sauciest shit that they have in their little closet.
But the more the Bible Belt will vote for them every time, no matter what they keep doing when they're in office.
I mean, my God, like, this is awful. Like, I don't understand why people keep voting for someone like, especially if someone is telling you that this person did these horrible things.
But Jesus told them to vote for
them. Yeah, that's the logic. You know, it's like, okay, why even try?
I've had this conversation with many people I know, and that's literally what they'll tell me.
Yeah.
I will vote for the one I know prays. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, come on, people, get it together.
Great. I'm like, I don't care who they pray to.
Yeah.
If they think I'm a host who doesn't have a right to decide what's happening to me, I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not really interested, but thanks.
Isn't that shit crazy?
I
can't believe she got that out of him. I was like, you know, because we told her, we were like, this is the author, you know, I think we even gave her the phone number, and she called, and we saw that shit on the Intercept. We were like, we tipped her off.
Well, obviously he didn't think that what he was saying was
problematic
at all.
Right?
Which makes you wonder what's still inside his head that he never said out loud.
Right. Now that's a scary fucking thought.
It is. But it is the Bible Belt, so. And I know I upset people when I say that because I pop that off a lot.
But, no, I do too.
But, you know, it's true.
We are the fucking Bible Belt. We're the more. We'll hate you all day long.
But we'll say to you, bless your heart.
Yeah.
And we'll pray for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. We'll pray for you.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. Keep them. I don't want them.
I'm a preacher's kid, so.
Oh my God.
I have lots of Jesus jokes that my family doesn't appreciate.
I know some dead baby jokes, but that's not.
Oh.
That's not appropriate.
I'd imagine not many people laugh at those.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just a wrong person. That's not funny at all. I should be ashamed.
But we're not.
Yeah. I mean,
let's be honest. We're not ashamed of ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point of the podcast, right?
Right.
That's kind of our tagline is real talk about real life.
Yeah.
Let's just get honest about shit.
Yeah.
Why do we have to gloss over things? And, you know, especially in the Bible Belt, you know, it's always everything's the backwards compliments instead of just being honest. And
yeah.
We're not going to fix shit if we can't even be honest with ourselves about what's wrong with us.
Right.
Or what's wrong with our communities or what we need to do. We're just going to keep making it worse.
Yeah. We're just going to keep feeding the monster.
Right. So, this could go either way. People could love it.
Yeah.
Or the churches could come after me with pitchforks and torches. Whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, it's fine.
Yeah. No need to worry about them.
Whatever. Yeah, so when you tell people that you work in, what do you tell people you work in? It's women's reproductive rights, is that the right phrase?
Health and rights, yeah. So I do a lot of reproductive health and rights work with the Oklahoma Coalition for Reproductive Justice. So we're primarily an advocacy organization that tracks about 30 to 50 bills each legislative session. The topics that kind of fall under the umbrella of what reproductive justice is, which is, you know, making sure that, you know, everyone has a say in how their quality life is played out, you know. Right. So it's really important that I think that we track different kind of topics because sometimes things get lost in the weeds, and so we do a pretty good job of like general tracking, you know, everything from LGBTQ rights, birth control, access to contraception, comprehensive sex ed. Those are like topics that we like to track, right?
That's another one that's a big issue in Oklahoma, right?
Huge issue, and it's, you know, it's not for lack of trying. God bless it. There are like several people who have tried to put forward some kind of either consent education or, you know, medically accurate comprehensive sex ed, and they just,
I support both of those.
Yeah, right. I do too. I always support both of those, and it makes me sad that these bills have such a hard time going through the process. To me, it seems
like a no-brainer, but obviously it's not in the Bible Belt.
Right. which just kind of makes you like grin your teeth.
Right. And the consent issue, especially, the sex ed, okay, I kind of understand where they're coming from. I think it's illogical and irrational. But I understand their thought process.
Yeah.
I should be the one to teach my kid about sex. I'm like, well, if you did a better job, we wouldn't have the statistics we do in the state. But okay.
Right.
I can at least track your thought process there. But the opposition to consent education, I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, no, I can't wrap my head around that one either. Because, like, you can teach them as young as when they're in kindergarten. Like, there's basic ways.
Basic boundaries.
Right.
Yes, and I don't understand why. I mean, it's as simple as, every school has to have an anti-bullying policy.
Right.
And, of course, you're not supposed to touch people without their consent. We've got the sexual harassment policies. We've got all of this. And we're holding children accountable for violating policies they've never been taught.
Right.
Because they haven't been getting the basic consent teachings young.
Right.
And then they're like, what did I do?
Yeah.
We can't,
like, punish them and then, and not explain to them what.
Right. Whereas if they had been taught basic boundaries, they may not have ever done that. And we can't wait until they're teenagers.
Right.
No.
That's too late, in my opinion. I think you need to start consent young, very young.
And it's a protection for them.
Right.
I hear that from a lot of child sexual abuse survivors.
Right.
Was they just simply weren't taught boundaries and consent. Like, that they weren't taught that they're allowed to say no when something's happening that they don't want to happen.
Right.
And so if it just seems like a no-brainer that we should be teaching this to all children.
Right.
But apparently not. Apparently some people have a different, I don't know. I wish somebody, I need to find somebody who can articulate this to me. I've asked several people. None of them can give me a reason why.
Right.
Other than, you're trying to teach sex to my 5-year-old. I'm like, no. Consent isn't just sex.
Right.
But for that matter, you need to teach them. If somebody's trying to do this to you,
right,
you can say no. You can go tell somebody. You can, you
right.
don't have to go along with this. Or, if it happens, it's okay to tell somebody.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Why are some things that I don't understand, and I
think it's the
rubbing my forehead when I
shame.
say this.
I think it's that we've been so conditioned with shame about so many of these things that we like to pretend they don't exist and they aren't issues.
We don't empower people to ask questions.
Yes.
And I'm sure that one question that one person has will answer 10 other people's questions.
That's probably true.
So
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of encouraging someone to ask that question, and we don't do that. Like you said, it's very shameful. We made it to be so shameful to be like, let's talk about this,
Yes. I've been, this year, I decided at the beginning of the year this was going to be my year of new experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm making a concerted effort to make people uncomfortable by pushing them and talking about things that I can tell they do not want to talk about.
Right.
Not painful or triggering things.
Right.
But, my family, who's very... they're very avoidant. So anything that's uncomfortable, they like to avoid. And so I will deliberately talk to them about relationships or things that I know they aren't terribly comfortable with and are avoiding.
Right.
And so things like that, or I'll talk to people about sex
that
I know have a lot of shame about it, just to kind of see, it's okay.
You
didn't burst into flames.
Right.
It's fine.
I'm still I'm 32 years old and I'm still unlearning that shit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes someone will start dancing and I'll be like, oh my God, would I be dancing like that? It's not about me. That's my burden to carry. I shouldn't be putting that on someone else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why don't you lighten up and do what she's doing? Maybe you'll feel a lot better too.
Or even if we can just accept that's not my thing, but it's okay if that's what they want to do.
That's kind of how I feel about sports. I don't care about it, but if you like it, that's fine. That's your thing. That's
your
okay.
Thing. Go do that. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I'm fine.
The only thing that really chaps my ass about the athletic thing is the Sooners mascot. The name.
Yes.
That chaps my ass more than anything. I'm just that's the one thing that drives me nuts. But outside of that, I don't give a fuck.
Well,
I just think that's a horrible.
We're still merciless Indian savages. It is what it is.
My gosh.
And they make T-shirts that say that. I'm gonna get one and start wearing it every time I go to meet a politician. I think.
Yeah,
I
right.
think that's what I'm gonna start doing.
You totally should.
Yes. I'm the only thing that gives me reservation about doing that is I'm afraid of how many are not going to understand the reference. And then I'm going to need medication because I'm going to really understand the devastating state that our politics is in.
Right.
And I'm just going to be like, no, I can't do this.
Right.
Your English is so good, Priya.
That I can't tell you how many times I have heard that shit before.
Oh, wow.
But like, bitch, I was born here.
In their defense, you don't speak like an Okie either.
No.
So you don't have the draw.
I do like to say y'all a lot, though.
Oh, I do too.
And folks. Y'all and folks.
I sound so country sometimes.
I know. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, who are you and what have you done with Priya?
So you really do hear that a lot, that you're... They just assume you weren't born here? Is that...
Yeah.
Do they play the what are you game?
Oh,
do you get that a lot?
What are you? And I'm like, I'm hungry.
I want tacos.
I want food. But what do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean? Really? And I feel like I'm playing that Justin Bieber song in my head. What do you mean?
That's fucking hate stuck in my head for the rest.
That little shit.
Thank you for bringing Bieber up.
I hate that little shit. I don't even know why I brought him up. But like, that's the song that plays in my head. What do you mean? But yeah, seriously, like, what do you mean? I know what you mean, but I want to hear you say it.
Does anybody actually come out and say it, or do they do the polite back pedal?
The back pedal.
Yes.
The back pedal.
Yeah, that's what I get because I'm ethnically ambiguous. I get it. Like,
yeah.
I'm not white enough to be white, but I'm not brown enough to really be identifiable either. So
right.
So they're like, what are you? A woman?
Yeah.
Where are we going with this? I'm not sure.
Right, but like, if you want more answers, you need to pay up.
I need you to ask a specific question.
Right. Or just be like, I'll answer for $5.
Right. Pay me, bitch.
Yeah. Like, if you're that interested, I'll know how interested you are.
Right.
I'm gonna rob you blind.
So it's interesting. I always get, because I always make people guess before I answer now because I find it entertaining. So I find it almost always comes down to their own biases.
Right.
So they'll either guess something that they're very fixated on or fascinated by.
Yeah. Or
something they really hate. So like in Oklahoma, I get Hispanic a lot.
Yeah.
So I get to hear a lot of the Mexican hate. It's almost always Mexican.
Yeah.
I'm like, you realize Hispanics more, but no, it's always because so many people here don't like Mexican people.
Right.
So I'll hear that a lot, or all sorts of bizarre things. Like, I love this, I used to watch this movie about whatever culture when I was a kid, and I loved it, and I just thought you might be one of those. And I'm like, one of those?
Yeah, right?
Yes, I'm one of those.
Yeah.
Or, So talk to me about fetishism.
Oh, God.
You get that? It's a lot?
Oh, my God. That's lurking at the back of my mind with every interaction. I'm like, what is it? Because you're just waiting for that one moment for that person to reveal themselves.
Right. And that's usually the positive thing is what it really comes down to is
right.
their fetishism. Their, quote, positive stereotypes, which is what I usually call the sliding scale racist.
Right.
I'm not racist, but...
Yeah.
Or... they're not going to commit to it all the way.
Right.
It's kind of somewhere in the middle.
Oh, my God.
Which I actually find more... disturbing.
Right.
When the whole thing about the Confederate flag and, there was the arguments on whether or not it should be banned from sales and stuff. I'm like, no, sell that shit. I want that bumper sticker on your truck. I love that warning label. Stay the fuck away from you. Exactly. No, for real. I treat them, that's exactly what I do. I treat them like warning labels. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, like, and in the back of my mind, and this is the reason I haven't dated anyway, is because I know in the back of my mind, whoever it is, they're going to have this weird fetish thing about.
Right.
Do
you get the I love Indian girls?
Oh, I love Indian women.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Do you ever ask them why?
I'm going to start.
I want to know their answers. Because there's got to be some sort of strange fetishized image in their head, right?
Oh yeah,
Too
the
many
whole
Bollywood
thing.
movies.
Oh, what are we gonna do? When are we gonna do moves from the Kama Sutra? Like, the fuck? I'm like, hello, my name is. Can I know what your name is?
Right? From the Kama Sutra. As if most of them could keep up anyway.
Right.
I have this idea that really upsets people because Bible Belt. But I fundamentally believe that purity culture is an underpinning of rape culture. Yes. And we cannot change rape culture until we eliminate purity culture. Yes. And this upsets the evangelical. Well, everything that runs Oklahoma. But I truly believe this.
Okay, I thought I was the only one who had that same thought because there's those two are like fundamentally like tied into each other.
Yes, because it's all about women as property.
Right. Power and control.
And that's how you control women. Purity culture is about having that power and control. Right. And that's one of the things you condition women to. I mean, right. You think women would go along with this and put up with the stuff that we do if we weren't being taught this and conditioned this from very young? Right. It's normalized. Yeah. I mean, half the time we don't even realize. Yeah. When we're being treated terribly.
But yeah, if you don't see how those are connected, I'm not sure we can be friends because to me, that's the light bulb. Like if you don't see that those two are interlocking parts, then you're never going to get it.
What do you think keeps people from seeing that?
Their own experiences. Because, they use that as the litmus test, right? Right. Their experience is the litmus test, not anyone else. Like, not knowing that everyone has a very unique and different situation.
And I think maybe the religious coercion and shame comes in, too.
Because
the purity
shame.
Culture is so shame-driven, and then there's also the problem if you go against the church, you're damning your soul to hell. So there's the eternal threat happening too. Right. So that people can't even let themselves consider thinking through it logically. Yeah. Do you stand by the statement that you don't believe in marriage?
This is gonna sound really shitty, but but like I love going to other people's weddings, and I always get emotional, right? Like,
and you cry.
And I do cry, and it's almost like that very like hard ass cynic in me that's like, oh my god, is there really like I can't fathom spending the rest of my life with one person. That just that doesn't appeal to me. Okay. But I see how other people have that connection, and it like makes me wonder, A, what the fuck is wrong with me, but B,
nothing's wrong with you.
That oh my gosh, they really trust the idea that they're meant for each other.
Yeah, they trust the idea.
They trust the idea. I think that's what gets me is that the idea that they put so much trust in, and I'm just like, I just can't.
Even though they have to know it's not realistic, because 98% of people who are quote monogamous are not actually monogamous. Right? They're just pretending and lying to each other. Right. I've been a side girl enough to know that.
Right. But like I know that, but the idea of putting that much trust and like putting that much stock in one person, not only does that terrify me, but that just is not, it doesn't appeal to me. It actually terrifies me.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't have a problem being with one person long term.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. Of course, I was with him for 13 years, so that doesn't bother me. But I'm not going to get legally married.
Yeah, no.
Because my shit is mine,
right.
And it's going to my kids.
Right, yeah.
It's not yours. You earn your own shit.
Right.
And then it can go to your family. Or if you have kids, it can go to them.
Right.
I won't take your stuff. You leave mine alone.
Oh, hell no. There's no way in hell I'm getting married ever. Like, ever, ever, ever. But, like, I love the idea, like, for a moment in time, I have this almost same belief that these two have really, their whole purpose was to find each other.
That's very sweet.
It is, but then it dies.
Medication to help. That's the solution, right?
Right. And then I think what I'll do is I'll think about the months later on after the wedding. I'll be like, I wonder how they're doing. I think about it because I'm like, I wonder if things are still.
As someone who officiates weddings, I can tell you most of the time they're not even that happy the day of. They just look it.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm the one back there talking to them, and seriously, I've had grooms ask about the divorce process before they walk down the aisle.
Oh my god.
Yes, I'm like, If you're considering that, you should probably just not send that license in.
Right?
That would be my advice to you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's all a big show.
I do like
it's like Facebook. You know how people put all the happy stuff on there and they leave everything else out? The wedding's the exact same. It's all pretense. How's that to crush your dreams?
No, I like that because it brings me back to reality, the reality of it all.
All right, we're going to have to wrap this up, but I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. Is there anything else that you want to say that you think the masses need to know about?
Attention, this is a PSA. You guys cannot find the G-spot for shit. Please read some literature, Google map it if you must, but do something because we're finishing ourselves off.
Oh, that's great. I feel like we should put up a diagram. Circle it right here. And here's some tips on what to do with it.
Yes. What are some tips? You guys won't find it. So when you do, just if you happen to find it by dumb luck, we are going to tell you what you need to do.
Go ahead, tell them what they need to do.
I was going to go after you, but...
Go ahead, I want to hear what you got to say. This is great. I'm loving this.
I enjoy different rhythms, so I like a little bit of fast, a little bit of slow, a little bit of in between, and then just going, back and forth between those different speeds.
The worst is when they've got you almost there and they have to stop because they've got no control. So I suggest you get her almost there before you start that.
Right, and
because that's the worst, because then you got to start over.
Yeah,
because you done stopped and had to get yourself together, which takes at least 30 seconds.
Right.
So you ought to pull it back, and then we're like, really?
Learn some self-fucking control, man. Like, some people do Kegels. If that's your shtick, then good for you. But, like, if we're required to do that shit, you guys have got to work on your delaying self-gratification.
Is that an age thing? Because I've noticed guys in their 30s have more control than guys in their 20s, so maybe it's an experience.
Yeah, I think maybe it is an
experience
right? thing. Yeah.
Because guys in their 30s seem to have much better control, but then after they get too far into that, then they start losing stamina. So then it's like, what's the trade-off here?
Yeah. No, and not only that, I feel like people who go too fast all the time, I'm just like, you're ruining it.
I think they watch too much porn.
Yeah.
So it's like the hard drive all the time.
Yeah, and I'm like, slow it down a little bit. Let's enjoy this. And when I say let's, I mean let me enjoy this.
And listen to your partner.
Yes.
Because there are certain positions that I cannot get off in.
Yeah.
They may be fun. That may be great. And I'll let you do that when it's time for you to finish.
Right.
But that ain't going to be the only thing we do.
Right.
Because if I have to finish this myself, there's no point in you being here.
Right.
So.
Earn your fucking keep.
You can contact the podcast at brokebrokenpodcast@gmail.com. The Broken Podcast can be found on Twitter @BrokeBrokenShow, on Instagram and Facebook @BrokeBrokenPodcast.